This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. Karaoke tonight at Slapsticks. So stop on by and sing some karaoke if you're into such things, and get tickets for this weekend show at slapstickscomedy.com. Top 5 Cowboys things they don't know as camp begins. These are things they don't know, Cowboys camp questions. Number 5, I know, guys, this seems like a mundane thing, but I will make my point on this. Who's their punter? They've been the same punter for a long time. Now they're down to, they have punters right now. Hunter Nicewander played last year and did very well, but they also brought in Brian Anger. So who's the punter? It seems like a mundane thing, but when you had somebody like Chris Jones, like they had for so long, that was so athletic, and they ran fakes with him, and they did a lot of different things with Chris Jones, and was one of the better athletes on the team. I know that sounds weird, but Chris Jones was one heck of an athlete, and now they have to change the punter. Sometimes that consistency may not be there, and that's field position.
Yeah, Jones was, how long was he there?
6-7 years.
It seemed like he was there a long, long time. Then all of a sudden, it's not a rotating door, but
he got hurt. And then
when you have, the one thing is, you have someone you can rely on for a especially amount of, Jimmy Johnson went through place kickers all the time because they didn't want to pay him more than what they, but that's the one position. You don't know who the punter is until all of a sudden you're averaging 39 net or whatever it might be. And I don't even know what that number is compared to everybody else in the league.
And look, they have a different long snapper this year,
You don't
too.
know who the long snap,
LP Ladocera.
He was unbelievable for it seemed like 2 decades, and you don't know who that is until whoop, right over the head. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the field goal kicker until they miss. Yeah. Although Zuerlein is really good, and he was good last year for them. I think he's gotten that kind of sewn up. I could be wrong.
He's making more money now. Can't we have Dak pull at Danny White and just
punter too? Yeah. Boy, Danny White was a great punter too. Yeah. He really was.
Number 4, if their backup offensive lineman can step in and play. I think I sent Jack the wrong graphic here on Neville Gallimore. That might be my fault. But can their backup offensive line? Look, they've got Ty Neshke on board. Brandon Knight and Terrence Steele played a lot last year. They drafted Jacob Ball. I think they like what they have with Connor McGovern as a backup. But again, what do they really have there? And if Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, or Lyle Collins all go down, which they all did last year, what happens? Because that's what derailed their season as much last year as their terrible defense.
Man, I tell you what, their offensive line last year. Remember the one year, I told you this, Washington lost everybody up the front, tackle to tackle. And I don't care who you are or even how good your backups are. You lose all of them, it doesn't matter, especially when you don't play most of the year without Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins.
Yeah.
But when Zach Martin then started to miss some time, they're nuked.
Yeah. Number 3, can they stop the run? And this Tristan Hill is a big part of this. Neville Gallimore, who you saw in that last.
What was his injury last year? ACL?
He tore his ACL. Yeah. And so Tristan Hill, Neville Gallimore, they've drafted guys. They've brought in guys like Carlos Watkins and Brent Urban. Can they stop the run? Because, and really, if you go back to a game that you want to see what the disaster of the season was last year on defense, watch the Cleveland game, where Cleveland did not have to throw the ball to win the game.
Well, and let's give credit. These are no longer the Browns of 5 years ago.
No, my point is that Cleveland, I don't care if they're the Browns of old or the new Browns, they didn't have to throw the ball to win that game.
No, it's like they had Jim Brown back in the here. I still want to go back.
And
when was the Rams game?
Nick Chubb in the early part of the game.
When was the Rams game when they gutted the Cowboys? Was that 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Wasn't that a playoff game that humiliated them? Yeah, they've had some of those moments where it's one thing for a team to score points on you. It to me is demoralizing when they can take the football and jam it down your throat. And you can't do anything about it, and you can't do something about it.
Yeah. Number 2.
Do you think do they have a couple of fire plugs? A couple of fire hydrants?
I think Neville Gallimore is going to be better. I'm not sold on Tristan Hill. And we'll see about some of the guys they drafted a couple guys. We'll see. What happens, with the guys that they drafted. So, but nobody that's, above a 3rd-round pick. So, Neville Gallimore played last year as a 3rd-round pick, so they're going to have somebody probably play the same way, but you can't expect more than rookies from rookie stuff. Number 2, who the safeties are. Donovan Wilson, Javonte KZ, probably the safeties. But They don't know that. That's my point in this thing. They don't know that yet.
And do they care? And I'm sure they do, but do they it's like a dime a dozen.
I love it when you find my through line here, because they haven't cared about the safeties for a long time, and I think it's hurt their defense.
Is it fair to say that? I guess it is.
Yeah, they haven't cared. It's been a position where they've essentially saved money, and that brings me to number one here. It's a position that they've always continually saved money here. Who's the backup quarterback? Is it Garrett Gilbert? Probably. But do you wait out the other camps and see if there's somebody better for you than Garrett Gilbert, who played okay when he had to play for what they brought him in to do? But is he the guy who, if Dak goes down again, that your season's going to rest on?
Dalton wasn't always the answer, but I always thought he was the perfect insurance. Not the perfect. He was a good insurance.
But he's about as good as you can get in the NFL.
I mean, he really is. And with his experience, what he's done, and I thought he did pretty well. Then the offensive line collapsed. By the way, a quick note, if you don't mind.